the flood well passive to bring him back to life. Perks goes forward before he's scattered by the weak, but there's simply not enough damage. It was neat, a quadra kill for Perks to close out the game.
For G2 versus Schalke, the story's simple. Redemption for a disappointing spring split. For G2, it's a disappointment because they didn't live up to the legacy. They didn't win the final, and they got crushed.
Last split, we didn't really match well, and we had to improve a lot. And in the finals, even though Fnatic destroyed us, it felt like we are way more together.
For Schalke, spring split was a complete failure. The team failed to live up to any of the hype.
And this knocks Schalke out of playoff.
Being 8th place when you're basically one of the top teams in terms of individual talent, it's something that you don't want to be. Schalke in itself, like the organization, the staff, the players, you know, are not an 8th place team.
Nukeduck gets a gold card out because the shield timed out. Amazing! Puts the tactical sweep to the face of Caps.
Last split was bad for us, like not only because of the result, but more because we didn't manage to function as a team, I think.
Schalke tried to play so clean and so safe that they were a sterile team. Amazing is the polar opposite. He's emotional, he's feisty, he's fiery, and that is a double-edged sword. It can elevate Schalke, or it can explode. And it'll be on Amazing shoulders to see how far Schalke can go.
So they picked up Amazing, and I thought he's like kind of grandpa, like he doesn't have mechanics, but he actually proved that he has some mechanics.
Puts the baby cage down on Caps, and Caps is obliterated.
All the lanes work together with Amazing in order to neutralize Junkos.
The jungle matchup will like not even be close. It's gonna be totally one-sided.
I think it's one of the easiest matchups I can have right now compared to all the teams. Amazing is just not out there just yet.
One, not gonna get two with Perks taking it away, but he will find the double in the end.
I mean, last time we played against Schalke, especially the first game of Spring Split was crazy. Nukeduck got really stoned by Perks.
Oh my goodness! Nukeduck gets nuked by Perks!
Perks versus Nukeduck is going to be an explosive mid-lane matchup. Two of the best individual players in the league, and I have no idea who's going to come out on top.
Oh, Nukeduck dodged this! Jumps back onto Perks, the Hexa Gunblade, and Perks is down! That's how you win the mid lane! The year of Nukeduck!
I'm excited to play against Perks always. It makes for like exciting gameplay, but it's also the factor that he is, you know, the top dog mid laner.
Will Perks be able to elevate everybody around him to play to the level that we have already seen Perks play? It's the only way for G2 to be a title contender.
G2 destroy Rocket!
Even if everything doesn't go to plan, we can still, you know, pull out the win. Whereas some other teams, they need everything to go their way. Otherwise, they collapse a bit.
I think we have to show to our fans that we can be the best team in Europe.
It's week 2 of the Summer Split, and this matchup is the start of that redemption story. For G2 and Schalke, there's no time to waste. Start winning now, you don't go to Worlds.
Welcome to our match of the week between Schalke 04 and G2 Esports. Now, before we get into it, it saddens me deeply. Picks and bans are on the way, but we do have to take a moment to honor the superior analyst, the only one to predict a Rawcat win against Vitality. It's Vedius.
I can't believe it. You know,
see this, man?
What is
you see
this? What is this?
Oh, Memento.
I never wanted this. No one...
Look what you did, Memento.
Oh my God.
Look what you did.
It's physically painful. It's physically painful to look at this.
It especially burns because last week I was one of the only people that predicted Rawcat to win, and I thought I was a genius, but no. I'm 0 for 2 today.
It's not happening.
It's
We're
bad.
both 0 for 2. It doesn't feel good. I'm new to this, and it still doesn't feel good.
Congrats to Vedius. Every day, things get a little bit worse here as Vedius gets stronger and stronger as the superior analyst. Now, let's take a look ahead. We can ignore Vedius for now. He'll be on the desk later. He'll get to brag. Schalke versus G2 is what's on the cards. Now, we're still working towards champion select, so I want to talk a little bit about this matchup. You saw in the video we had prior, mid lane is the matchup on everyone's mind. How do you feel about Perks versus Nukeduck right now from what we saw in week 1?
Ooh, I like Nukeduck's chances. I think he's going to bring us something a little bit, you know, out of left field, right? He had the Kale, the Twisted Fate I was a big fan of. Champions that can demand pressure around him to get Amazing there to help him out and shut down Perks.
I think Perks is Perks, man. You say what you want about Nukeduck, but Perks is Perks, and he's totally on form this split as well, what we've seen of him so far. And it's a tall order to take it to Perks, and I don't really see Nukeduck being able to do it.
Well, Perks is a strong contender. You can, of course, watch him on our POV stream beta. It will be focused all about him. We're going to hope that he plays something exciting. That's twitch.tv/RiotGames2. So you're talking about Kale. You're talking about Twisted Fate. I'm going to be honest, I don't want to see any of that. Because those champions are great for Schalke to win, but those champions aren't fun to watch in a 1v1. I want to see that Zoe LeBlanc rematch. I want to see them come back for these intense one-on-ones.
But here's the thing, Dracos. We might not get a 1v1. If you remember back to last week, the big Kai'Sa plays for Perks in the mid lane, he wasn't in a 1v1 matchup in the mid lane. He had a Braum with him running around the jungle all across the map and, you know, doing that boring funnel strategy. And that's where a pick like the Twisted Fate really did work out, I think, for Schalke in their match against Fnatic.
And Jankos is another one of these players who I think he's really stepping up what we've seen of him so far as well. High expectation of him when he joined G2 and that mid-jungle synergy.
Now, gentlemen, we are into picks and bans. G2 Esports finding themselves on the blue side. Schalke on the red. Rise, Aurelia, Camille, Heimerdinger, and Nocturne, the bans on the opposite side of FC Schalke, are going to round it out for the first pick here for G2. What jumps out to you immediately in terms of the ban priority?
Get Yarnin off his Heimerdinger. Don't let him have that champion. I am so happy that that is the first ban to come out of Schalke, because if I'm playing against G2, I never let that man have his champ.
Do you reckon they saw the last game and were just like, yeah, Heimerdinger, I remember how irritating this geezer is. You're like, let's not play versus him. Get him off.
Oh, no.
Now, G2 Esports, all right, so the Talia's
it's happening.
They lock in the Braum. And of course, this is kind of telegraphing the strat that I think a lot of people are tired of seeing, a lot of people are complaining about, but still feels pretty powerful, and that is the funneling strat, the potential for the Braum to go mid lane, or for Jankos to play the Braum and to have Perks play a jungler.
And Kai'Sa is open. That's what they played last week. I would not be surprised at all to see G2 take that in the next rotation. But remember that Schalke did look pretty good against Fnatic's version of the funneling strategy. For the first 20 minutes, they absolutely demolished it, playing aggressive picks out of the mid lane, playing very offensively. They just needed to close it out.
But what was Rockat's strategy when they beat Vitality just now? They were bucking the curve by drafting a standard bot lane. What's up with that? A standard bot lane? Maybe this is actually a support. Dare I say it, the Braum we've seen here might be a support.
Right, that's the thing you get. Because
let's not speak blasphemy. We haven't seen it yet. We have till 20 seconds after the final pick phase to see whether or not this will be a standard bot lane, whether or not it's going to be a funnel comp. I imagine we will find out shortly. Xin Zhao, now locked in by Amazing. Aggressive jungler. Feels a little bit like the Camille in terms of how it's going to play out.
Okay, so they still don't necessarily have to go. I think, personally, if I was Coach G2, I would pivot away from the funnel strategy after seeing Zoe and Xin Zhao locked in for Schalke. That's so offensive in the early game. It can shut this strat down.
That's exactly how you want to shut this strat down, exactly, is you want to have that aggressive mid-jungle synergy so that when Kai'Sa and Braum are doing their thing, you can actually take it to them a little bit and put pressure on them.
And of course, you can see now how the strategy likes to play out. Farm being given all over to Perks in the mid lane, if this is the strategy they want to go to, making him that hyper carry. And of course, leading to some of those highlight moments where, yes, Kai'Sa is the only one doing damage, but since G can't actually be killed, it's more than enough to bring it home. Or on the other lock-in for G2 Esports. And interestingly enough, talking about more standard bot lanes, looks like Schalke going to pick up an 80 carry for themselves on the bottom side of the map.
And this is a really aggressive early draft from Schalke. They're saying they
love it.
Exactly. They want to win in this early game. And what we've seen of them so far, last week, they were really bloody good in that early game. That was definitely their strengths. And Lucian, when you pick him as a laner, you're saying, I want to win lane.
Yeah, and that's why I like seeing them ban away the Fiddlesticks. This champion was used to great effect in the first week of play. Ziggs as well, all these lane priority champions on the bot side.
They want G2 to pick more of a standard bot laner. They're like, don't get Heimer, Fiddle, Ziggs, screw these champions. We ain't playing versus these. Pick something normal that Lucian can actually bully.
Exactly, because against the funnel strategy, you want to have priority in every lane so you can win those lanes and shove into the enemy jungle and fight, fight, fight.
Last bans, though, Aatrox Poppy taken off. G2 Esports trying to limit some of the options here. Alistar actually going to be the lock-in, so the trend of aggressiveness is continuing. Engage options pretty much across the board for Schalke outside of that Lucian pick.
Oh, God,
and it's funneling, baby. It's all about that funnel. We can't avoid it.
Do we have sick bags on the desk? I need one.
In theory, it could be... No, I can't.
No, they've got the Braum and the Tom Kench. There's no way.
Try to salvage it, mate.
Okay.
It's not happening.
Ender, when this strat first came out in the ULCS, you were the one quick to come up with reasons as to why Misfits were the team to counter it. It seems like we're seeing some of the same factors here, that early aggression coming through from Schalke. We've already seen them run that play against Fnatic. Is it just a rinse and repeat for these guys? Does it look like a carbon copy of that Fnatic game?
It is a carbon copy up until 21 minutes, where you need to have a ward on the Baron buff. Because when you have a level 16 Kai'Sa, 20 minutes, she shreds that sucker down. So you gotta have vision of it, and that way you can keep that snowball rolling.
You know, we talked about Vedius being the superior analyst. I'm going to put on my superior analyst hat here and say, Schalke want to do the things that made them win in the early game and stop what made them lose.
Genius.
Excellent prediction.
And
now,
I'm done.
For G2 Esports, is there any last minute? We've got 20 seconds is coming up now. Last moment to swap around. Doesn't look like we're going to see anything. Who's going to take this? I know you guys had a chance to predict earlier. Do you want to make a swap? Is this still a G2 favored matchup?
It's a tough call because I think that Schalke have the tools to be able to shut this down in the early game, and I'd go for them.
Yeah, I want to see Schalke do it, just because I'm rooting against the funnel strat. Go Schalke.
Absolutely can be the case. Of course, coaches are shaking hands. We're getting ready to get into game in just a moment. Excited to see how the match of the week is going to play out. Team comps now on your screen as both teams load up. The funnel versus the early game play coming in from Schalke. The teams are ready to hit the riffs, so let's send it over to Pyra and Vedius as we get into our match of the week.
Thank you very much, Dracos. Welcome to the match of the week, G2 Esports. Going tried and true here with the funnel strategy in Schalke. They say, we saw Fnatic. We could beat them. We can beat G2 as well.
Well, they're going to try. It's going to be quite an exciting game. A lot of people have been hyped up to see how the new addition of Amazing can really change the performance of Schalke. I feel like that they had a bit of a mixed week last week, and Amazing as a player is still trying to find his place in the team. We have heard from interviews and from him on the podcast that it is taking him a little bit of time, you know, to readjust to the stage, pro player lifestyle. He was on the broadcast for a while, so now he actually has to be good at the game rather than pretend to be good at the game. And it's a process, and he is slowly moving his way back in. But he's going up against G2, who've had a whole split to do that. This is the same roster from last split. This was the same roster that went to the finals. They did get 3-0'd by Fnatic, but they identified their issues. And Perks even said last week that he felt kind of burnt out. But after last week's performance, it looks like that he's back on track to being one of the top mids in Europe.
That's true. I want to unpack a little bit what you said there, though, about Amazing. He has definitely had to kind of move his way back into the jungle in a very different style of meta from when he was playing 9 months ago, and that is probably one of the reasons why he's found it a little bit more difficult. He talked in that interview specifically about not necessarily being on carries or carrying so much, but what's funny is he's played 2 Camille games in Xinjiao now. And he doesn't have to worry about getting counter-jungled this game, so I feel like he's off to a good start.
Yeah, I think he quite enjoys the carry style if he can have it. Now, on the Xinjiao, you can be very active in the early game. Very popular pick over in the LPL. They do love this champion. And a lot of it's just because you have a lot of early damage and pretty effective CC. You have a slow built into your kit. You have the knock-up as well, the 3-hit strike, the 3-talent strike, I believe it is called. And it basically means that in the early game, when it comes to early skirmishes, especially against, well, no jungler, you can be pretty proactive and you can look to make a lot of plays.
Whoa, 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 whoa. There's a jungler. It's just in the mid lane.
Sure, but what I mean by that is that Hyanan and Wadid have no jungle support. The risk of someone coming bot lane, aside from maybe a Wonder TP, is very low, which means that Upset and Vanda can play like there is no one in their lane. They can play as aggressively as they want. They don't have to run the risk of a jungler showing up and making their life awkward and difficult. And Amazing has loads of opportunities to just walk down and there's no risk of getting counter-jungled. The other good thing about Xinjiao is just his ability to win these early skirmishes in 2v2s. Against someone like a Zoe, it can be very effective. The paired when you pair up these 2 champions, they are considered very, very strong. We saw it a lot last split, where you'd pair things like an Olaf and a Zoe up, and you pretty much could never lose a 2v2 with that combo. So Xinjiao kind of provides that similar role, and we'll see how aggressive Amazing can be on the champion. And because we know that last week when he played the Camille, he was able to do it. He put a lot of resources into the mid lane ganks. Let's see if he can pull it off again.
Yeah, it'll be very important for Nukeduck and Amazing to try and shut down Perks in this game, because it is really all about Perks in that middle lane. So Nukeduck stealing away what he can. And you know, speaking of Perks, it's a good thing we're watching him on the POV stream over at twitch.tv/RiotGames2. Here we go. This is Perks Division.
You can see the clicks, the fast movement, the paying
He's got some APM.
Guys, he warded, pro player warded. Copy him. Do that at home.
You know, I don't care how many times you say that, it's never going to happen.
You got to keep trying though, Bayer. You got to.
I agree. You know, I admire you not giving up.
Yeah, so you can go watch Perks. You can go see how the funnel strat works live. It's not the most in terms. It will get action-packed later, in theory, if they can get that far. But for the time being, you'll just see a lot of farming. But the thing to pay attention to is how he manages his time between picking up the mid-wave farm and also when he spends his time in the jungle. Because if you are going to run this strat, it's just really important that you space it out evenly. But yes, Perk's very interesting. Smite on Nukeduck. He is Zoe and he's playing Smite. We didn't see that coming into the game. I have just noticed it. And it allows Nukeduck to basically invade and steal away jungle camps. Number one, that means he won't fall as far behind against his lane opposition because, funnily enough, he's getting jungle camps too. It also denies gold from Perks, which is great because obviously he's trying to have everything funneled into him. Yeah. It kind of lowers your kill pressure, but you don't really need it anyway.
I mean, you're Zoe.
Because
we've seen what Zoe can do without an extra summoner anyway.
But you're not laning against anyone anyway, so the idea of kill pressure is kind of minimal regardless. So I actually really like this adaptation that we're seeing from Nukeduck, and I hope that it pays off more so as we get into the later stages of the game. It does mean that objectives are also obviously easier as well. So
it's a do-it-yourself funnel, really.
Yeah.
You steal away what you can. Now, Chachi might be in some trouble here. Has to flash. Wonder's going to follow him, and who's the better tank? It looks like it's going to be Wonder on this Ornn. Chachi is going to fall for first blood.
Wonder literally just solo killed Chachi
on Ornn.
In lane on Ornn. That is very surprising. Not what you would expect from the top laner of Schalke. Now we see a bit of early skirmishing, but G2 want to avoid that at all costs. There is farm on the horizon that they need to grab themselves, but the backtrack, like, Chachi just died in lane. So uncharacteristic. This guy, he has an MVP of the split title under his belt.
Yeah, I mean, it was a while ago, but he's very well known for being able to execute. Now, down to the bottom, let's see if the execution comes through as well. Wadid swallows up Yarnan. This is the safety of the Kench, but back to your point about Chachi, yeah, it's shocking.
That is extremely shocking. Like, Wonder's good, don't want to take anything away from Wonder, but that is very, very surprising. So Chachi goes in for a couple of early game trades, which he largely loses. Remember that you are sacrificing your own health, and you don't have many means to recover it in the early game unless you're able to land those cleavers, and that just gave Wonder the opportunity to fight him. And remember as well that Wonder, because he's a level down here, oh, hang on, we have a bit of an engage up top.
Looks like he's about to be more than just a level down right now. Visit Chachi getting triple team. Perks smells some kills, and he's going to find another one. On to Chachi.
And this is disaster now for Schalke because Perks is getting even more resources invested into him. That is a kill very early on that is easily handed over to the big carry of G2. Chachi doesn't have the teleport, so it's going to be a long time before he gets back into lane. A lot of resources are being denied and more funneled into Perks.
It seems like the core assumption that Schalke had with this composition was they were going to just be fine on lanes and they could use Amazing and Nukeduck to try and hunt down Perks. But that's proven to not be the case here. Visit Chachi's Mundo is getting set incredibly far behind.
Certainly is. Going to be a big operation for Chachi to get back into this game. Let's see how he pulls it off, because now pressure falls on the bot side of the map for Schalke if they want to find a way back into the game. Obviously, the deficit isn't so huge right now. Nukeduck and Perks are both the same level. Amazing even ahead in levels on Yanko. So experience-wise, pretty good. Have a quick look over at the gold, and you can see that in terms of the overall gold between jungle mid and jungle mid for both sides, it is still relatively even. So Schalke not too far behind from the side, and that's a good situation to be outside of obviously the difference up in the top lane.
Yeah. Now the funnel, of course, is still pretty real for Perks as he continues to pick up the lion's share of all that gold. You can see it in just the CS differential alone. Of course, not telling the full story because of the jungle camps, but look at what Upset and Vander are doing. It'd be nice if Yarnan and Wadid were anywhere near there, but they're taking jungle camps of their own.
But this is something that they've actually done a lot. Last week when they were playing the Heimerdinger lane, they would often move back towards the Krugs and they would just constantly pick them up, because one of the cool things about this duo of Braum and Kaisa is they're actually really strong skirmishers, especially once Braum hits level 6 because of the amount of CC you have, and they're looking for another play up top. I don't think they can get the kill here, given that Chachi is level 6.
That's a lot of damage, though. However, Chachi on the level 6, he's about to run out. He goes golden. Yankos can't tank any more shots, and it looked like Wonder didn't want to be on the same page with that one, so you are correct. This time he gets away.
But Wonder, he has his ult up very soon. G2 could just look for a turnaround and head back towards the top side again if they wanted to. Good response, though, from Schalke as they grab themselves the Drake, and more farm being lost in the middle lane. Like, this is one of the things, right? If you're ganking all the time, it means you're losing farm. So Nukeduck actually doing a decent job of maintaining a reasonable gap between himself and Perks, especially seeing as they weren't able to find a kill up towards top side.
Yep, let's see. So Really clutch that they were able to secure themselves, not just any dragon, but the Infernal, little extra damage to try and match. Take a look at that gold game overall. As you said, it has been fairly close, 700 the difference. Amazing and Nukeduck roaming as best they can to try and pick up kills. Perkz is back into the mid lane. I always find it really fascinating when you look at like the funnel comp versus the stop the funnel comp. You'd think it would be obvious who's actually coming out ahead, but I feel like it's a little hard to tell since it seems so even.
Well, I feel right now G2 are happy with the position that they're in. They haven't lost a kill yet. Their bot tower is still alive. They've actually gained advantages in the top side, and Perkz has been able to get a decent amount of gold. So the way in which the game is going, I feel G2 are pretty happy. Schalke will start to feel the pressure relatively soon, and that's why you're starting to see them move towards the bot side. For now, it's okay, and they're not under too much pressure, but they will need to be proactive. You can't just sit around and hope that G2 mess up, because when you're just funneling gold, it's kind of hard to mess up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could miss a smite or something, but yeah, it really doesn't matter too much. Speaking of messing up, though, Vizicachi, he seems to have recovered reasonably well from the earlier oopsies up towards the top side. Wonder's still a very scary threat here. You know, the Sheen, the Catalyst, he's going to be a hard man to kill, and he's chasing Vizicachi away from all this farm. But the Mundo doesn't have to care as much when he has his ultimate, and Vander's even coming up for some support here. So Wonder carefully backs away. Upset also spotted out.
Interesting that Schalke have chosen to go for an early swap here. Looks like they want to try and get Chachi out of what has been a bit of a dire laning phase for him. And they want to try and get some pressure down onto this top tier 1. But with the Dragon gone as well, I imagine they do not want to concede the Rift Herald for free. It's a big objective that can really help with the sieges. And handing that over to the funnel comp is definitely not what you want to do. So Schalke have the majority of the members topside now, and this could be Amazing in trouble.
Yeah, looks like it. Amazing. He does knock him back. Crescent Guard's on as well, so he has to burn it, but critically he does get out unscathed, and G2 pull the trigger. Let's see if they can do even more as they head up towards the top side. Jankos and Perkz still pushing in the mid. Let's take a look at how Perkz has actually done compared to his last Kai'Sa performance, because this was the near-flawless execution of the funnel strat. Right now, he's still got a long ways to live up to.
Well, yeah, once we get to 20 minutes, let's see if he can break his CS record once again. But 7-0-5 did not die in week 1 of the European LCS Summer Split. And as we said, he is kind of on his way back to form. He kind of burnt out towards the end of last split, as he mentioned in an interview, and he doesn't want to do that again. So he took some nice time, he took some time off, and now he's back on the grind, ready to perform, and so far he's been doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, little R&R goes a long way for Perkz. Obviously, it's been a rough split for him, and you know, you're never going to get used to losing when you're the 4-time LCS champions, and taking this new squad, he had a lot of work to do. Maybe this is the split that G2 Esports get back on track. Would be a good turnaround for them. Despite the fact that they were finalists, of course. I don't want to say they were looking horrible. Just definitely not in the same form. Schalke tries to make an attempt up towards the top. Yarnin and Wadid playing as safe as they possibly can. And the funnel continues.
As we mentioned, G2 pretty happy. I imagine the point of view stream going extremely well. Remember, guys, if you have just tuned in, you can watch Perkz play Kai'Sa.
And watch Jankos run around and babysit.
Yeah, you can also watch that, I guess, too.
This is why I don't like calling it the funnel strat, by the way, because I think that you can use some more colorful language. I prefer to call it the butler strat. Everyone knows what a butler does, and that's exactly what Jankos is. He's literally
but the strategy is not about the butler here. The strategy is about the person who receives the resources.
That's Batman. like Jankos is Alfred, Perkz is Batman.
Hang on,
and
look at the trade.
He's pretty dead. Oh, good flash though. Nice job getting out of harm's way.
Wonder outplaying Chachi once again. 2 levels on him.
Oh no, Wadid! He's interrupted. No way to get out with the Abyssal Voyage, and it looks like Amazing upset. And everybody just collapsing on the Tom Kench.
So they finally find their first kill of the game. The question is, can they secure an objective off the back of it? Because Schalke still at a gold deficit. They haven't been able to punish this double support lane as of yet. It means that G2 are very happy with the situation they're in. Perkz now heading his way bot.
Oh, Killer Instinct goes right on in for Vizicachi, and he makes it a Cathian Rain.
Very easy kill there for Perkz. He doesn't need his butler this time around. Batman swoops in and secures himself the gold that he needs to be a happy chappy. Already completed his first major item. We can see as how this played out before. Very simply, Vander did his knockback, and then he did the knocky up, and then he did the stunning, and then Schalke did the killing.
There was a lot of verbs in that one. And Schalke didn't stop doing the killing. That was not English. As they take down the Rift Herald.
Easy peasy. It will be an exchange of towers, but Schalke, I imagine, want to throw this Rift Herald mid so they can at least get themselves an objective back. A lot of sound effects going on right now.
Yeah, I'm a little confused at the moment.
Pew, pew, pew.
We don't add any more.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Getting into it, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, I'll give you that. But
so Nukeduck has now effectively become a jungler as well. Level 11, 151 CS, and he's completed his jungle item, the
Skirmisher
Runic
Saber.
Echoes.
With the Runic Echoes, yeah.
Yeah. So Skirmisher Saber will increase your damage. Runic Echoes has received a decent number of buffs, actually, over the last couple of patches. And now it gives you a pretty quantifiable amount of AP, 80 ability power as a first item, and 10% cooldown reduction, and 300 mana. So obviously the trade-off is you lose a summoner spell because you have to run Smite. But if it's challenging Smite and you're Zoe and you just kind of want it to add to your burst and poke, then I actually can see that. I think it's a pretty smart adaptation. I like the slight difference that Nukeduck has brought out. Will it pay off in the long run, though? He is still leveled down onto perks, and a lot of resources still being funneled, naturally, as the strategy does suggest. And now the Rage Blade is finished as well. So I always like to think of it as the level 16 mark is when the comp really comes scary, because you then have 3 points in your ultimate, and usually you're at about 2.5 items, maybe even 3 items, and that's when stuff gets really scary.
True, but I think it's pretty admirable that Nukeduck has been able to even keep it relatively close, considering he's not getting the same amount of resources focused on him. He does have to flash away from the Ornn ultimate. As he goes in, he goes out. Wonder hasn't been a slouch this game by any means at all, but yeah, the 20-minute mark, Ender was pointing it out earlier on the analyst desk as well. Still about 5 minutes away from us here. And I do want to see if Nukeduck can come up with any of those huge deletions. Like, this is a guy that really has never stopped kind of having that outplay potential. Throughout the long years he's played in the European LCS, one of the longest standing players here. You got to think all the way back to Season 3 now. Schalke looking for a fight. Wadid is going to swallow up Yarnin and end it right here, right now.
So the Rift Herald is still in the pocket of Amazing. No towers have been secured for Schalke yet, even though G2 did secure the first one, and they have a pretty low health one ready for the taking up topside. They get themselves the Drake as well. G2 just feel like they have primary control over this game for the most part. Schalke not being quite as proactive as they were against Fnatic's funnel comp, but again, the funny thing is when Schalke played against Fnatic, and Fnatic ran this strategy, they were also against 2 supports in the bottom lane, but the key difference was every so often when Perks went to farm mid, Amazing would come mid lane, and then Vander would roam up and try and gank mid lane as well. We haven't really seen that at all this game. Way more focus has been put on trying to shut down Hyunin and Wadid, who have just been tanking ganks. Yes, they were able to finally successfully kill Wadid at one point, but they haven't even turned it into a tower yet, and that means that unlike last time where Caps was 0-3 and Schalke had a 8k goal lead because with Caps behind, it gave them full control over the map, G2 have just been able to wave clear on the side lanes. They've even been winning one side lane with Wonder, and Schalke have failed to deny Perks any farm, aside from some of the jungle camps that Nukeduck has been stealing. So I feel like that right now G2 are just very happy campers, because 3 more levels to go for Perks before they could consider rushing Baron. They can look to try and force as many fights as they want, and things become very challenging for Schalke to really turn things around.
Yeah, Doomsday timer's ticking for sure, and it does seem like a very comfortable cruise for G2 Esports. These guys are not necessarily forced to make incredibly crazy plays, because they just want to hit that mark where they can pretty much keep Perks in the driver's seat all the time. And they've even given him a little insurance policy. The QSS comes in.
And when you have a Tahm Kench too, if you ever get hit by a Zoe bubble, it will not hit. You'll just be instantly cleansed, and Perks will be absolutely fine. G2 now grouping as a 5-man to secure themselves the mid-tier 1. Only 1 outer tower left for them to secure, and the top one is already pretty low. Schalke were able to finally successfully find their first tower of the game. And I want to see Schalke try and force a play here. Upset goes in.
Nice job by Jankos to kind of jump back in. Upset might have found himself a little bit too far forward, and he's going to get fired down. Yarnin actually takes away the last hit, giving him kill credit on this one. Perks does land.
And Upset, he oversteps in the middle lane, and immediate punish from G2. Another kill goes over in their favor, this time onto Hyunin rather than Perks, but still, a kill is a kill, and they get the flash out from Upset as well. Schalke, yet to find any success with the early game comp that they have drafted for themselves. Now we just look back as we see Upset like, oh, there's a Braum there.
And an Ornn.
And an Ornn.
And the rest of the team.
That sucks.
Yeah, Schalke, you know, it goes back to what you're saying earlier on. We wanted to talk a little bit about, like, Amazing and how he's kind of changed the dynamic in this team, and he's still looking for a space for himself, but can he really be the leader? We haven't really seen it just yet in this particular game. Chachi taking up tower shots. Meanwhile, it's just a crazy fight. Nuke's going to start off by picking off Yarnin and Wonder, and Wadid, they're going to get left for dead here, but it's going to be a tower traded in the inner.
So Schalke finally find themselves a successful fight, and they get themselves 3 kills, which is great. But look at what they're losing on the other side of the map. G2 trade the lives of 3 for 2 towers, and Perkz is just continuing to farm. This is the kind of proactivity we needed to see from Schalke, but right now it's not resulting in anything significant that closes the goal gap enough for them to really challenge Perkz.
Yeah, let's take a look at the replay. Again, it was a good collapse on bottom for Schalke, not netting enough for them to get ahead.
So their whole goal here was just to try and punish Wonder, as he was by himself. He didn't really have the minion wave to defend under this tower, and it was going to be very quick and clean dive, but then Wadid brings his bot laner Hyanin to help save the top laner, and really just to buy more time. If they could have gotten a single kill there, it would have been even better for them. Unfortunately, they don't find one, but Perkz is still trading on the other side of the map, and yes, the kills are very valuable. The experience in gold is great for Schalke to pick themselves up, but they're the ones still behind. They don't have a lot of control over the map, and they need to be finding more of these proactive plays. Take advantage of the fact that Wonder has now used his flash, and the same for Wadid. As Perkz has found another one.
Yeah, Perkz goes in. Killer Instinct onto Vizichachi. Can't dodge him forever. Jankos ends up with the final shot on the Winter's Bite. Perkz still picks up that assist, and Baron Nashor's live on the Rift, Vedius, for one night only, as G2 Esports might be looking to secure that one up pretty soon. We are at the 20-minute mark. This is the scary territory.
So it's the level 16 point for me, where Perkz will just start to run away with the game, but their eyes are set on the bot tier 2. They already have a wave pushing up towards them. They know that the top wave is stacking up, so the moment they take that tower, they can go back, and they can send Perkz up to catch the wave. And everything so far looking pretty good as, oh, are Schalke going to do it? They're going to try and rush the Baron, knowing that so many members of G2 are on the other side of the map. I think they can rush this down.
Yeah, and Jankos, he's coming there, but he doesn't have a smite for the first time, really, and it looks like desperate moves for G2 to try to respond in time. This Baron's only at half its health. Maybe they can take the fight right now. Schalke seem to be getting cold feet. Vander trying to move around the side. Here comes the Ornn Horns, and they're going to knock up 2. Let's see, the Baron doing all the work for him. Perkz picking up a killing spree on the Mundo. Baron's still up for grabs. Double kill, down goes Amazing, and Schalke are going to get cleaned off the map. That's a triple kill for Perkz. Make that a quadra and pick up the Baron to boot.
G2 grab everything as they secure the Baron. Perkz picks up 4 kills, and Schalke leave with nothing.
We saw a brief flash on Schalke's coach, Andre Guholto, and that pretty much says it all. Just that falls flat.
The decision-making here from Schalke was sound. They recognized that G2 is too far away, there's no way they can collapse in time, but Schalke just couldn't take the Baron down fast enough, and all 5 members show up to stop the play from happening. The smite comes through from Perkz. Unfortunately, Zoe wasn't able to steal it away, and Kaisao just wasn't touched. This isn't the kind of fight that you want to be having in the Baron pits, and G2 get a much earlier Baron than they probably initially anticipated.
And the gold snowball's out of control at this point. They find themselves up 8,000 to 22 minutes, and, well, the damage graph, at least on the G2 side, is going to be pretty consistent throughout the course of this game, I would say. Perkz being the by far and away leader in the game. Also has a Death's Dance picked up in addition to his other items right now.
Yep, very scary. There's the level 16. 3.5 items are done, on his way to working towards the 4th. Baron is ready, and G2 have the base of Schalke set on their eye. They have their eyes set on the sights.
They have the base set on their eyes. That's okay.
The word, yeah.
That's a little weird, but that's okay. G2 are going to win this one, it looks like. And Perkz may not have had the same exact amount of kills and assists as last time, and I don't know if he broke his CS record, but I think he's going to be pretty happy with the results all the same. Amazing trying to wait around the side for a flank, but if he waits too much longer, I don't think there's going to be much of a base left to defend. Down goes the inhibitor, and he's just watching.
Upset gets forced out. Wonder's already brought a wave bot. Perkz is just melting through the Schalke roster as G2, they're going to secure themselves a second inhib.
Yeah, really looking just infallible at this point. The funnel has completed. Perkz has become an absolute terror. Amazing's left reeling, just running away from his own base because all of G2 set their sights on him, and there's only going to be one more inhibitor tower if they want to take it. Nukeduck, he's going to get knocked up by the Ornn Horns and taken down. Perkz goes godlike on the kill. Upset sends a calling straight into Jankos' face, but he's able to tank up through most of it. These towers are getting cut through pretty easily like a hot knife through butter. And then Bash and Crash, they just keep on taking the damage. Vizichachi's going to heal up most of it. G2 Esports perfectly happy to keep taking this fight as long as they keep Perks protected, but he's got to be careful. He's going to get shut down. Upset senses the moment is nigh that they can maybe turn around G2 Esports, and all of a sudden G2 have lost their damage dealer.
Yeah, G2 have nothing left. They have to back away. Perks overstepped. Finally, his first death of the Summer Split. It was Schalke that was able to deliver it. They defend their base for a little while longer. The Baron buff wears out, and Schalke hold on. But let's look back at how this steamrolling G2 take away the most of the base. Nukeduck just wants to get a bit of poke down. The Ornal follows him away. And there's just little that Schalke can do. They can't really hard commit to a fight. Their tanks aren't tanky enough. Perks is level 16 to level 12 of Vizichachi. That front line just disappears. But here, Perks, I believe he takes tower aggro. He also gets knocked up and chain CC'd. And the damage from Upset and Amazing is actually enough to secure the kill.
So the unfortunate miscommunication there was that they not only funneled the resources, they funneled damage onto him as well. So Perks finally finds the grave. He still comes back pretty strong. Frozen Mallet completed for him now. And G2, they are only stopped, not stymied.
Just an extra bit of sticking power for Perks, level 17. It's looking dire for Schalke. Chatted with Amazing on the podcast, and he said we should be able to win. He knew it was hard because G2 looked very good, and obviously Schalke still going through a couple of growing pains with the reintroduction of Amazing to not only the pro scene, but into a new team environment. And while he does seem overall pretty positive and trying to bring a good culture to the team, right now they are not quite able to match the prowess that is G2 Esports, and they are setting their sights on a 3-0 as we kick off week 2.
Yeah, indeed they are. G2 Esports with a massive Baron power play, still looking to try and end this one. And I want to look at the items again because Wonder's got himself an Ohm Wrecker.
Yeah, maybe they want to look for dives. Very rare purchase, but
when it happens,
when G2 are so far ahead, they feel confident enough to do it.
At this point, might as well. Perks goes in, Perks goes out, he gets swallowed up by Wadid, and there goes the knockups all across the board between the Ornn and the Braum, and they just come right back stronger than ever. Perks has found Vizichachi, and he is making him look like not a tank at all. So with Vander about to fall down, Nukeduck desperately trying to get back to his base. That's the triple kill for Perks. This looked clean as clockwork. Maybe a minor hiccup, a cog in the machine, a quadra kill. Perks decides, you know what? I'm going to get this one. You better let me have it. Down goes Vizichachi and the penta for Perks.
He gets himself the penta. They get themselves the Nexus. G2 go 3-0.
Well earned. There's the ace. There's the base. GG, good night, and a big smile on Perks' face.
I must admit, this is one of the easier comps to get a pentakill on, but still.
Don't take this away from him, man.
12, 1, and 2. Great performance from Perks. G2 looking very clean, and like it all came off the back of that big single decision around the Baron area. Schalke recognized this could be an opportunity for us. Let's try and rush the objective down. We can steal this away when G2 are on the opposite side of the map, but with the Tahm Kench ultimate, with the teleports, they were able to respond in time and stop Schalke from doing it. And, like, they got 4 kills, they got a Baron, and at that point, Schalke were just too far behind to really contest an 18,000 gold Kaisar, level 17 at just under 27 minutes into the game.
Funnel works, and Perks is very happy with how it happened. Now, I'm glad he gave some props to Schalke for, you know, making the right call, just not necessarily being able to fire down that Baron early enough or fast enough, and giving it over to G2 Esports. It is hard to play against this comp. It feels very oppressive when it gets off to even a decent start.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we didn't really see a huge amount from Schalke. I thought the smite on the Zoe was quite interesting. Took away some of the jungle camps. They kind of close to Perks for a little while, but Chachi was someone that really struggled during the laning phase. He died a lot. Yes, he did get ganked, but that kind of happened a lot after he died 1v1 to Wonder, and you can't afford to be making those kind of mistakes. At all, especially
level. I mean, on a Mundo too, like pre-6 of course, but still. But on the flip side, props to Wonder. This guy was a beast.
I mean, yeah, I feel like Wonder's just been one of the most consistent top laners that we've had here in Europe. Naturally diversifying his champion pool as well, because when G2 at the finals just had only Wonder target bans, it's a little bit worrying, and while he has always been able to play these tanks, the rest of the team couldn't quite optimize when he wasn't on something like a carry. So we are seeing a lot of diversity from this G2 squad right now, things meshing together. They currently sit at the top of Europe.
Yeah, they found themselves a funnel not once but twice. It worked out really well. Of course, we saw them play some different stuff. Now, in our match of the week, Perks, Wonder, and Jankos all stepped up to secure the victory. If you think one of them deserves to be player of the game, be sure to hit us up at Esports on Twitter and vote for your favorite. But for more on G2's win, let's get some thoughts from Dracos and the boys.
Thank you, Pyra. I'm Dracos. These are the boys. Before we talk about this horrendously one-sided game, if we're honest, let's take a look back at the highlight moment that defined it all for Mr. Luka Perkovic. Let's take a look at that pentakill. Now, he's pretty far ahead, so this doesn't seem unreasonable to me, but why don't we run through it anyway?
Yeah, Perks right now is a giant ball of stats, and he train wrecks through Schalke. That's actually a really nice Ornn ultimate there from his top laner, but
he gets the fadeaway, man. You don't see those often. Just to throw out the skill shot and walk away, just keep grabbing kills.
I mean, yeah, he's level 17 right now. It's not really like Schalke stand much of a chance. This man is just so strong. I do like the team coordination here to all TP in and track down the 5th.
I thought this was the European LCS. I didn't realize Schalke were all Argentinians for the Croatian mid laner to be popping up for his pentakill. What a lad.
What a lad.
You're gonna have some Argentinian flame in your DMs pretty quick there, mate. Shout out to Perks, shout out to Croatia at that. And really, I mean, an all-star performance from this guy, but as we pull up picks and bans here, I think it's important to note that despite the fact that this game went to crap for Schalke pretty quickly, we did like what they were showing in the draft.
Look, I loved everything I saw out of Schalke in the draft phase. And then we got into the game, and it didn't go so well for them. The first rotation, Zoe plus Xin Zhao. This is made to go for early aggression and make plays, and that just never happened. I was waiting for the whole game to see it, and I never got it.
I liked everything that Schalke did until the game started. That's basically how I'm going to summarize your point there. And it was, they had the tools to succeed, absolutely. And I love the way everything they picked, it just seemed like aggression, aggression, aggression. I was like, this is going to be a really bloody exciting game. And then when the game happened, it was less exciting.
So we didn't see quite the aggression we wanted from mid-jungle, but the biggest issue when we look at this game does feel like the top lane, and more importantly, the biggest strength for G2 looked like Wonder. This man was a monster. Let's take a look back at his early game kills, because it feels like he broke the game wide open on individual skill alone.
It was just in the 1v1. In the top lane, he is solo killing on Ornn, of all things. And I was watching that play. Me and Foxy were watching, and then he got the solo kill, and we're like, man, this game might just be over because you can't fall behind against the funnel strat. And Wonder made it happen.
And like, exact point, I just want to really emphasize what you said. Individual skill in an Ornn versus Mundo matchup. If you're going to tell me there would be some individual outplays this game, that is not the lane I would have said it would have happened. And Vizicachi, nonetheless, was his victim. This guy is no pushover. He's a bloody good player. And Wonder just absolutely
but a testament to Wonder's ability.
He's even a level down.
You got to recall, right before this play happens, Vizicachi's down to 30% HP. You have to go back to base. Wonder realizes he didn't, even though he's down a level. It doesn't matter. The Ornn is a lane bully. He does a lot of damage in those 1v1s, and Chachi just didn't respect it.
Yeah, and a lot of plays came from that winning lane, which allowed G2 to really snowball the victory.
Yeah, and I think that was pretty much the defining moment at the end of the game. Perks and, of course, the rest of G2 did play it out very well. Schalke, though, you can see what happens when you're against these funnel strats. I want to credit them. They knew it came down to desperation moves. They made a desperation move, but let's take a look at that Baron that they tried to rush. 21-minute Barons in the EU LCS. Gentlemen, a more iconic duo I cannot think of.
I mean, Schalke, they remember their game from last week, and they're like, man, Fnatic were losing the game the whole time, and then they went for Baron at 21 minutes. Guys, let's do it. Let's do it ourselves. It just did not work out that way.
I feel a bit better about Schalke's Baron this game because this is more of a Hail Mary. We're screwed if we don't go for it. We're probably screwed if we go for it and it fails, which is what happened. But I do give a little bit of respect and props to Schalke for being a bit more proactive in a game that they were most likely going to lose. If they just rolled over, they would end up dying there. And hey, they went for it. I'm gonna give them plus points for that. I'm not gonna give them victory points for it because I absolutely aren't gonna get rich out of a play like that.
That's not how it works. You don't get there's no consolation.
You need the Nexus for the win.
Try. I give it to him for trying.
I mean, they absolutely did. Well, coming up next, Fnatic without Reckless are looking to take down H2K. More on that in an interview with Youngbuck to give us some context after the break.
Looking for a space for himself, but can he really be the leader? We haven't really seen it just yet in this particular game. Chachi taking up tower shots. Meanwhile, it's just a crazy fight. Nuke's gonna start off by picking off Yarnin and Wonder and Wadid. They're gonna get left for dead here, but it's gonna be a tower traded in the inner.
Yeah. Of course. It's fine, just
Guys, it doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As a Perks
with
has
Chachi.
another one.
Yeah, Perks goes in. Killer Instinct onto Vizichachi. Can't dodge him forever. Yanko ends up with the final shot.
God.
Hey. Vander trying to move around the side. Here comes the Ornhorns, and they're going to knock up two. Let's see the Baron doing all the work for him. Perks picking up a killing spree on the Mundo. Baron's still up for grabs. Double kill. Down goes Amazing. And Schalke are going to get cleaned off the map. That's a triple kill for Perks. Make that a quadra.
It's over.
There goes the knockups all across the board between the Ornn and the Braum, and they just come right back stronger than ever. Perks has found Vizichachi, and he is making him look like not a tank at all. So with Vander about to fall down, Nukeduck desperately trying to get back to his base. That's the triple kill for Perks. This looked clean as clockwork. Maybe a minor hook hit.
Yes, I'm happy. I'm playing Braum again then.
You better let me have it. Down goes Vizichachi and the Penta from Perks.
He gets himself the Penta. They get themselves the Nexus. G2 go 3-0.
Well earned. There's the ace. There's the base. GG, good night, and a big smile on Perks' face.